there, buenos dias, and welcome back to my YouTube channel here at Benidorm and beyond. I'm an English woman who's lived in this town for many years now, and I love to share news, info and interesting items about the resort to all you Benny lovers out there. So let's get started. Today's video takes you on a walk along an area in the Rincon de Loix known locally as Gypsy Lane, but in fact its real full title is the rather wordy Camí Azagador de Soria. Running alongside the site of the popular bi-weekly outdoor market, which opens from around 8 AM on Wednesdays and Sundays, this area has been the subject of much controversy in the past, and in fact still is, and I'm here today to give you all the info. We started our walk from the Repsol Butano station, where companies and individuals come to buy or exchange gas bottles for their homes and businesses, as mainline gas is not a common commodity here in Spain, so most of us rely on these bottles for cooking all year round, as well as for fueling our portable heaters, if needed in the winter time. As you can see, I filmed this footage on a bright sunny morning when the outdoor market was being held, and from this slightly elevated viewpoint, you can really take in the somewhat patchwork quilt of nets and awnings over the stalls, protecting their wares from the sun's damaging rays, as well as the high volume of parked cars and other vehicles in the immediate area. The outdoor market is seen as a great morning out by many, which by the way includes the local residents too, who come down for wheeled shopping trolleys full of fresh fruit, veg and flowers on a regular basis, as well as the thousands of tourists who flock here as well, who like poking around for a bargain or two, or maybe an unusual souvenir or fake handbag or t-shirt to take home with them. The long-term future of the market is uncertain, however, as this whole area up to the top road, as we call it here, or the N332 road as it is really named, where all the big nightclubs once used to thrive every summer, is now set to be part of a huge multi-million euro regeneration project. With the old mini Golf Florida at the edge of the market site already having been pulled down and cleared away several months ago, providing additional free parking spaces in this busy part of town, this whole area is going to be razed to the ground over time, with the green light having been given for the very last phase of the project to go ahead back in June, with the Ministry of Agriculture, Environment, Climate Change and Rural Development now being satisfied that the plan meets all their requirements. The project will completely envelop the space where the market currently sits, which after all does remain empty for the majority of the week, and as far as I can see, no announcements have been made as to where it will move to, or if indeed it will reappear at all, as such a large empty space would be hard to find in this already hugely developed resort. Whilst most of the stall holders set up at a different market in the area every day of the week anyway, this large coming together in Benidorm is certainly quite a spectacle, and especially easy for holidaymakers to find in this popular touristy area. And it also helps keep a lot of the nearby bars and restaurants ticking over, with a huge extra influx of customers on both Wednesdays and Sundays. You can obviously find other markets in Benidorm on other days of the week, such as the Wednesday market up in the Folletis Sports Stadium area, just down from the tram station, which moves to behind the Bull Ring in the summer months, as well as the indoor municipal markets in both the Rincon de Loix and the heart of the Old Town, and of course other smaller markets too, in the neighbouring districts and towns of La Cala, Altea and Alfaz del Pi, but none of them have the same extravaganza and huge variety of stalls in one place as the much famed Mercadillo de Benidorm. The redevelopment project, which is called Ensanche Levante Benidorm, involves some 560,000 square metres of land and is looking set to need an investment of 570 million euros to complete its impressive and ambitious plans. These include the creation of green spaces of over 61,500 metres squared, as well as the construction of 20 hotels and some 2,300 new homes, of which just over 1,500 will be for tourist use. Of the total, some 600 units will be put aside as subsidised housing, with the residential part of the development occupying around 10% of the total area. The project is also proposing a large central park with wide avenues, pedestrianised passageways and lots of open spaces, and it wishes to concentrate the building area into high-rise buildings of around 20 floors high, which will lead to a considerable reduction in land occupation by the structures. In turn, this will mean that a significant reserve of land will be left for public facilities and municipal green infrastructure, including 21,000 square metres for teaching uses, on which the necessary buildings for the schooling of the future population can be erected. Although the project will no doubt take years and be rolled out phase by phase over a period of time, I think it sounds like a great use of currently unused and deserted wasteland, which you can see as we are walking further and further along this lane. The controversy, however, comes into play when you see how many people were living along this particular stretch of road illegally, to all intents and purposes squatting in abandoned villas and houses, with the area becoming a bit of a no-go zone after dark, as well as being full of litter, debris and overgrown countryside, along with a good amount of fly tipping as well. This zone is known as Armaneo, which has been classed by the authorities as urban and developable land since 1990, and back in mid-May this year, a huge fire started on a plot of land in this sector, filling everyone in Benidorm at the time with concern on the afternoon of Tuesday the 16th. Although the fire was not initially large, it soon spread, and the columns of dense black smoke that it caused covered the high-rise skyline of the resort for many hours. As the hours ticked by, Councillor for Security, Lorenzo Martinez, pointed out that pending the conclusions of the investigation, the evidence obtained on the ground and the images collected suggest that the fire could have had several sources, which later on led to online conspiracy theories that these fires had been set on purpose to get the inhabitants out and prepare the land for the project ahead, or that maybe they'd simply come about as a result of the unlawful inhabitants wiring up illegally to the electricity lines overhead. Whilst English social media sites about Benidorm went wild with videos of firefighters and fire trucks on the ground, whilst a helicopter and seaplane buzzed overhead trying to fight the blazes, on Spanish sites there was footage of the so-called gypsies complaining that the emergency services hadn't arrived quickly enough and had left the area to burn for over an hour and a half before attending the scene. As I say, these are all things I saw and read about myself at the time, and what truth there was behind any of the claims I simply couldn't say. In the early evening time, the fire was considered stabilised, although it still remained active. The flames forced the evacuation of many of the houses scattered in the area as a precaution, with nearby roads being cut off to traffic for safety purposes. Along this walk today, that I haven't personally taken for well over a year now, I was expecting to see scorched earth and blackened buildings all around, but in reality there was just lots of sandy dust and debris everywhere as usual, with very little outer damage visible. But then, if so much greenery, rubbish and waste was all burnt to cinders, I guess all traces of the fires would have now disappeared. This long winding lane did, however, used to be very enclosed and claustrophobic, surrounded on both sides by lots of overgrown hedges and trees, and was really only used by the gypsies who lived here or locals who needed a quick shortcut in their car to get down from the top road into the Rincon de Loix. But now, as you can see, it's almost desert-like and wide open to anyone who passes by, although I wouldn't recommend taking it as an afternoon stroll yourself, as it's still a pretty filthy area, and the occupants who have remained and managed to move further up to the houses that are still habitable do not take kindly to passing visitors, especially those who may be filming, like me. The flames apparently started on a plot of land quite far away from the houses in the area, but as the blaze gained strength, the concern was how close the fires were to the Repsol distribution warehouse, which we saw at the beginning of the video. The firefighters of the Alicante Provincial Consortium worked tirelessly to extinguish the fire, which happened to be the second in the Armaneo area in 2 days, with a fire having been caused in an abandoned vehicle in the same area just 24 hours before, fueling suspicions that the fire was intentional. The next day, May the 17th, it was happily announced that there was no one injured in the blaze, nor any properties damaged, and Benidorm's Mayor, Tony Perez, praised the rapid and accurate action of the regional fire department, who received additional support from provincial and regional forces. The Mayor affirmed that the fire did not entail a serious risk, although it was very spectacular, and stressed that the priority of the extinguishing was that the fire did not affect any home, which was an objective that was successfully met. During the operation, several incidents caused by the presence of a drone in the area of the fire were detected, which made the job even more difficult and put the aerial means fighting the fire at risk. Thanks to the technology available to the local police air unit, however, it was possible to detect and intercept the device, as well as identify its owner, who was then arrested and reported to the Spanish Aviation Safety Agency, and rightly so. Despite all this high drama and the fabulous new planned project, I have always liked this gentle stretch of countryside, especially with the views out to the surrounding mountains and the twitter of birds all around. However, it's also fair to say that I've never walked it alone and wouldn't have felt particularly safe to do so either, so perhaps it's best that the wheels of change continue and that this unused and unprofitable space do bring great new homes, hotels and green spaces for all to Benidorm, so let's watch this space over the coming months and years and see what transpires. I will now let you sit back and watch the rest of the video, which finishes at an end intersection, where to the right you can see cars still using this lane today as a handy shortcut, and to the left would lead you through to the top end of Calle de Ramador and not far from the Sandos Benidorm Suites Apart Hotel. I really hope that you've enjoyed this not only info-packed vlog with me today, but also a sunny summertime countryside stroll into the bargain. And if you have, please consider checking out some of my many other videos which show popular accommodation options in Benidorm, as well as other street and beachfront walks, as well as bringing you lots of local news and updates and reviews on cafes, bars and new businesses, and just about anything else I can think of too. That's all for now, so have a good day, afternoon or evening, and I'll catch you again here at Benidorm and beyond soon. Adios, see you later, and bye for now. Cheers!